ক্যামেরা
তুমি যেটা প্রেজেন্ট করা আগে তোমরা তারপর তারপর
Good, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our Institution of Global Professional Free Webinar. Thank you all for joining with us in this wonderful afternoon. My lovely audience, today I am your host, Hirani Saksar Chaudhary from Bangladesh. Ladies and gentlemen, I am proud to associate it with IGP as a global member. I feel honored uh, to host this webinar. It's my delight to welcome you all to our Institution of Global Professional Free Webinar. Thank you all for joining us today in this marvelous afternoon. And it's my humble request to you, all of you, stay with us till the end and don't forget to tag, share, and mention your friends. So let's together and learn together. Today, our webinar topic is structure of a research paper. Today, we have our speaker. Our speaker name is Dr. Samir Babu. Let's invite our speaker.
Thank you, ma'am. Can I share the screen and continue?
Yes, you can.
Yes, thank you. Yes, good afternoon from India. Thank you, everyone, for being here. So, let me discuss a specific concern today that most of us know the concern, but sometimes when we are looking into a research and its productivity, certain issues comes every time. Certain issues comes even though you are a serious researcher, you even though you have much more experience in a specific field, still all the time we have some one or the other issues regarding the submission of a paper to a journal. So that is my concern today, structure of a research paper. I'm not going to give you a very elaborate discussion and elaborate talk on structure of research paper. That well, we know that research paper and its structure is very strictly and very elaborately given everywhere in every database of the journal. Now, let us have some of the very precise concerns on the structuring while structuring a research paper. See, when we are talking about research, all the time we are talking about publication, because when a research is there, without its publication, without going it to the readers, it will not have its value. You are doing some research and you have its own evidences, you have your own research findings. So it will be useful when it reaches the policymakers, when it reaches the other researchers for further research, when it reaches the other nations for developing their own policies, considering the policies that you have devised according to your research. Especially the publication matters a lot. The publication is a serious requirement for reaching the result of your research to the public. Similarly, when you are talking about a research, definitely the ethics matters a lot. So everywhere, whenever submitting a paper, they will ask you what is the level of plagiarism. Have you done something for removing the plagiarism? So the report of the plagiarism is being asked whenever you are submitting a paper to a specific journal. Of course, when we are talking about impact and whereabouts, these are the some concerns when you go for selection of some topics. Definitely impact matters a lot. That is, as an author, I require some kind of impact because my research should be reaching the public, and accordingly I have to get my weightage. That is why we have certain indices like item index, H index, like citation. So all these are very specific as a stature of academics. It is required for all of us. Okay, now directly when we are coming to the field of research and its publication, these are go hand in hand at the same time. When it comes to the its structure may not be very specifically what we can call it may not be very similar. In the process of research, we are doing research in one line, that is we are structuring the research in a dissertation or project report or a thesis. It is something else. The same content we have to alter it, tailor according to the requirement of a research journal. So the paper structure may not be always in the line of a research report or a dissertation or thesis. So here what we have to do is we have to, especially the budding researchers, those who are in the initial stage of their research, those who are developing their bachelor's or master's dissertation, they should understand these are one and same. At the same time, when we structure it, there are certain uh, differences between the process of research and whatever you have written in the thesis and research report and the structure of a journal article or a research paper. So this is a very serious concern. So sometimes people have just an attitude of doing whatever they received and whatever they have written already in the dissertation or thesis, just submitting the same as such to a journal without proper reading, without proper editing. Actually, here we get most of the time immediate rejection or a very, very negative kind of reviews that we are getting. That is not progressive all the time as a researcher or an academician. So here you have to identify the structure. Now, the initial stage of a research publication is undoubtedly we can say that it is an identification of the journal. The paper you have to reach to the exact places, like when you are going, you are taking your cows or sheep to a field. So whenever you are reaching the exact field where the cow is exactly looking what kind of grass, so if you are reaching him or reaching the cow to the specific area, the cow will be happy. Similarly, I'm just taking a kind of common example for explaining this. Similarly, when you are giving a paper that is highly structured with proper statistical techniques and it's highly quantitative and it it is the demand of a specific journal. So when you're submitting the paper to the specific journal, the journal that the journal people, that is the publisher, editor, chief editor, the editorial board, reviewer board, they'll be much more happy. Okay, this is a wonderful paper coming to our journal that is exactly structured in the line that we expected to have in a paper. So this way, the identification and selection of a paper matters a lot before sending it to any publication. Never ever take a consensus or what we call it as take an opinion of others regarding, can you suggest a Scopus paper? So they can suggest a Scopus paper if you ask such a question, but they may not be able to suggest you the journal that is exactly fit for submitting your paper. That matters a lot. Now, I have this paper. Can you suggest a paper, suggest a journal that is best fits for my concern? That can be a question. Simply blindly don't never ever ask for a journal that is publishing things from education, psychology, social work, engineering. Like, never go for such kind of question. Rather, you can ask, I have a paper on pandemic, mental health during the pandemic situation, or the strategies that a specific school system implemented in order to enhance the mental health of students in the post-COVID situation. So I have this paper. So where I can submit it, can you suggest a specific journal that will identify my paper as one of the best? So that kind of questions you can ask. So my concern is that the identification of journal is an exercise that the researcher has to do very specifically at their own. That is, they have to go to the specific platforms, like Scopus is one of the platform, Web of Sciences is the platform. Whatever is the platform that we are considered as the standard, as a commonly accepted. I say as a standard in the sense that that is commonly accepted for indexing. Some of the indices, they will never consider some of the journals that is published online but not indexed in Scopus. Some of the if it is Google Scholar, whatever is published in the platform, they consider, Google Scholar consider it as one of your citation. At the same time, Scopus may not take the article that is available in the Google Scholar, but it should have an index. It should be indexed. The journal should be indexed, and the article you publish in the journal, then only it will be considered for indexing in the Scopus. So this is the major concern every researcher should have. Again, people ask questions: can I, as an budding researcher, I can submit a research to a Scopus journal or Web of Science? Definitely yes, but you have to try. The requirement matters also. So when you are a state like India, in India, it is not a mandatory that all the journals should be published in the Scopus, should be indexed in either Scopus or Web of Science, because there is another similar kind of or parallel kind of scheme going on, or a system going on in India under University Grants Commission of India. It is UGC Care List. It's a list where the journals are listed based on the strength of the journal, the strength in the sense that whether it is up to the level, they will list out the journal. If in between the journal is not showing progress in the academic rigor, it will be removed from the list, just like Scopus and Web of Science. So here, if the journal is indexed in UGC Care and even not in other databases like Scopus, it is considered for India and for the appointments. So here, many of the Indians, especially from social science and behavioral science backgrounds or language background, they may not always prefer the Scopus because of this only. So it matters. The Scopus selection matters based on the concerns and requirements. If an Indian is also would like to visit some other countries or locate some other countries for job in the academics, definitely they have to go for Web of Science or Scopus, because that is the global concern of standard. So that I just remember, reminded you regarding that. Now, when you have identified a specific journal, suppose you have identified a specific journal. Now the concern is that whether my paper, even though I'm from education, all the education journals are not my concern. All the education journals are not fit for submitting my paper that I have developed. I have a case study. So British Journal of Educational Psychology, it's one of the journals, British Journal of Educational Psychology. School Psychology International is another journal. Educational Review is another journal. So if I submit Canadian Journal of Education, if I submit this case study to British Journal of Educational Psychology, they may not consider the journal and I'll get an immediate rejection. So it is also from education. My paper is also from education, but the philosophy, what we call it, the approach that I have in my paper is not matching to the scope and field of interest of the journal. So what we require to do is we have to go to the database journal system, the journal website of the journal, look into the scope that they have identified and listed out. We will go for publication of any theoretical concerns of education. We are also taking care of, we are also accept papers that is related to sociology of education. We prefer more studies on qualitative nature. These are some of the sentences many journals mention in their scope. So as per the scope of the journal, you have to find whether it is a best fit for you. Similarly, when you are analyzing the fitness of your paper and matching it with a journal, you have to read carefully the titles of the journal, titles that those were published in the specific issue or previous issues. This is a serious exercise, actually, especially the budding researchers can do, because they may not be having an idea of whether my paper is a fit for the journal, whether my paper can be included in the journal. So here you have to cross check, not exactly the cross checking, it's a kind of matching with the titles that those were published earlier. So this matching, it will give you an idea regarding how to structure a title, whether my concern is one of the concerns of the journals, whether somebody has published such kind of articles in the previous issues or not. These are the concerns. Now, identifying the style of writing. Next is the serious concern. Identifying the style of writing that generally we use in the specific journal. So every journal will have their own style of writing. So if you go on the common ground journal networks, learn the learner network. The learner has a lots of journals. So when you go to the learner networks, they publish some of the journals from education. Education is one of the disciplines mostly the people follow American Psychological Association style. But when you submit the paper to this learner networks, the learner networks, they demand Chicago manual. So your paper has to be structured in the Chicago manual. Otherwise, they will not be publishing or considering your paper for the review. It's one of the criteria. So when you're submitting your paper to School Psychology International or Canadian Journal of Educational Psychology, that is a specific journal focusing on a research on education, and structure, the paper should be structured in American Psychological Association style. So you are a sociologist, you have certain concerns to publish in sociology of education. You were following the Harvard manual in your department, in your university, but now you're submitting the paper to the School Psychology International, so it considers the sociological concerns on education. So it's okay, best fit journal wise, it's one of the best choices. But the matching in terms of the writing style, that is different. You structured it in the Harvard manual, now the journal asks for American Psychological Association manual, so you have to change it. These are some of the various concerns we have to consider. Now, another very significant, when we are publishing a paper and submitting a paper, this in my earlier lecture also I discussed this regarding a good cover letter. Most of the time people will be least bothered about the cover letter. Actually, the cover letter is one of the essentialities of submission. When you're submitting, they'll ask you, may not be mandatory, but at the same time, when you write a detailed cover letter that describes the history of you, history of your achievements, like in terms of the specific research area, you can just highlight what you are in the field of specific research on the specific theme that you are going to submit as a paper now, right? So most of the people they are least bothered about these. We also having a such kind of sir, the paper is attached. Sometimes we will say PFA, please find attached. So we don't have time to structure the cover letter. So sometimes people on a hurry mode, we will be finishing every task on schedule basis. So sometimes we will write, okay, please find the attached. Attachment is the paper. So this is also a practice of people, but I can tell you that this is one of the criteria when the journal is sent for review. Once you very specifically write the concerns in your specific cover letter, it will be more accepted. This is databases examples. Sorry. This is not a database. This is the regarding the cover letter. You can also Google it. The structure of cover letter, or significance of the cover letter. I have just gone through that, and I just shared the link here. Okay. Now, Scopus, you must be knowing. I just mentioned Scopus for time being. I just mentioned the Scopus. So when you go to the Scopus, definitely you will find out the journal on different strata. You will get it. You can search based on the apply filters, search whatever is required for you, and accordingly do it very specifically. Now, When we are structuring the paper, especially when we structure the paper uh, to a journal, initially title page is required. There will be a title page. Yes. Title page, they will ask you the title of your paper and name and affiliation of your authors. There will be a main author, corresponding author, and the co-authors. So you have to detail out their email ID, the correspondence address, everything you have to give in terms that I just mainly the email they ask for. Now, when the second part comes, definitely everywhere it is abstract. But when you're talking about abstract has two structures actually. So some of the journals follow a narrative kind of a specific a paragraph type abstract. I just roughly call it as narrative kind of thing. It's a descriptive. When we are talking about another kind of abstract, it will be structured abstract. So generally it is 350 to 400 words. Never ever cross a single word more than the specific word, because the system is very specifically catching the required numbers. They must have fixed the number accordingly. So better the abstract, whatever the word limit is specified, before inside the word limit you have to include your paper. So I'm just reading is often near to 350 words, and this generally gives a detailed overview of what is the research as a whole. So generally we'll include the objectives or outcome of the research, specifically the method that you have used in the research, the tools and techniques that you have employed, the procedures you adopted. If it is a survey kind of things, and it is based on some sampling, so what kind of sampling you have done, and who were your participants, all these things you have to mention. At the end you are mentioning the significant result. This is the a kind of descriptive abstract what we follow. Sometimes, okay, this is a structure of abstract. This is structure of abstract. Sometimes structured abstract is a matter. For example, I can give you an example of British Journal of British Psychology System. So they have British Psychological Association. They have very journals, very specifically concerned journals like British Journal of Education Psychology, British Journal of Psychology in general. So they have journals like, so they prefer for a structured abstract. Inside the abstract, there are subheadings like background of the study in 2 to 3 sentences, aims of the study in 1 or 2 sentences, sample, who is your sample, that you have to explain in 2 3 sentences of maximum, methods of research, result section, conclusion. So this is the system of structured abstract followed in some of the journals. So here the concern is that you have to identify which is my style of abstract. You have to fix it, what kind of abstract system I have to follow. Now see, in the introduction, when you are writing an introduction of your research, you have to precisely explain what you are going to do. So before going to that, let me come to the general structure of a research paper. Only this we have. This is the only thing that we have to discuss in the whole lecture. That is, initially, most of the paper. I am not giving you a structure of all the research papers, because there are different journals and they follow different kinds of structures of the paper. So initially and generally we follow this. This is a maximum of research paper, structure of research paper, inclusion of ideas, whatever we have. Let's see that. First of all, introduction. The introduction, and many of the journals, introduction is divided into two. That is the general introduction or background of the study, and review of related literature. Review of literature. So if people have written this way, the journal demands a background and the review, you can structure accordingly. If it is not simply an introduction, so in the introduction, you are just highlighting the significance of the study along with the major studies that are your reviews, that the whatever you have reviewed you have to incorporate. Then if you read some of the journal, some of the publication requirements and studies regarding the publication, you can see that the introduction can be divided into three segments. Initially we should have a conceptual clarity, what you are going to do, the constructs or variables that you have to explain with proper citation in the initial one third of your introduction. The second one third, it should consist of the trends of the research in the specific area. If you're talking about mental health and goal orientation, for example, mental health and goal orientation, or simply for example, life satisfaction and the quality of work life. So you are correlating in a study among a specific group of people, those who are working in multinational companies. Yes. So here, the what is life satisfaction, what is quality of work life, the situation and the perspectives of various people on these two specific constructs, this will be the one third of your introduction. Another one third should be the developments of research in the specific area, that's self satisfaction and the quality of work life. Next, the third one third, that keeps your introduction complete. The third one third will be for writing the significance of your research and the problem, whatever is your problem, whatever is the concern of your research, that you can discuss in the third one third. This is, I have read from some of the articles. This is the style of introduction. And as I told you, some of the journals, they have an introduction of different other styles, like a background. They'll give you they will ask to write a background of maybe 500 words or so. Then again, review of literature. Then the study. Sometimes it will be visible in some of the journals. So whatever it is, the idea I have given to you. Now come to the second segment. Here we are talking about the methods. The methods is generally a title given. Inside, there are certain discussions like ethics in context, regarding the method and design. Sometimes some of the journals ask for design and method. Regarding the participants, that we generally call it as sample, but in the journal system, they will never mention as sample, they mention as participants. Measures, these are the tools of research, tools and techniques that you employ in research, but we never use the title, tools or techniques in the research paper generally. Rather, we use measures you employed or adopted. Procedure, or the procedure of data analysis, that is also a possibility in some of the research papers. So this is the maximum possibility of concerns that we have to write under the major head method or design, ethical parameters and context that you are going to carry out the study or that you have done your study in. Then participants or the sample, the people associated with your study. Measures, this consists of tools and techniques. Procedures, similarly the data analysis, how you are going to analyze the data, which software you are going to use. If it is another kind of analysis, qualitative analysis, what is your strategy? Whether do you have a qualitative data analysis software like NVivo, whatever it is, WEFT, like software Atlas T, do you have that? Or is it a kind of data analysis manually that you're doing? Everything you have to mention over there. Now the major area, half of your research paper is done with the procedure or data analysis, that is including the methods. Half is done. Now the major half, that is the post research area, you have to mention very specifically. That is the result, discussion and conclusion. result, discussion, and conclusion. Some of the journals you can find out analysis of analysis and interpretation, but most of the journals will write results. Some of the journals write results and discussion together, results and discussion, or discussion of the results. These are some of the titles generally journals give in this section. So I just took this section from British Journal of Education Psychology result. So in the result, you can give the explanation of your findings in terms of tabular representation, graphical representation, and narration. So if graphical representation is very perfect, no need of narrating it in the same line. Some people have right, they will give a table and every figure, every value they will write as an explanation. That is actually not required in a standard paper. Okay, so in this case, I suggest you what is you please refer to the sample papers. Read at least 10 sample papers of similar kind if you are a budding researcher. If you are an established researcher, you may not be in need of such kind of readings. If you have some confusions, you can refer to some of the studies. If you are a new researcher, new to the field, please read at least 10 similar kind of studies that is published in the very particular journal, how they have structured and how the results have been explained. Right now, the next important section of the second part is the discussion. Discussion is very much required in terms of the reviewed studies. How many studies you have reviewed? All the studies should come in the discussion section. All the studies should come in the discussion section. That is the requirement. I mean, whatever is your result, that should be discussed in the light of the reviewed studies. So discussion will have to be written in elaboration. So that is whatever results you have. For example, you are comparing the mental health of male and female employees. So here the results will be either there is a significant difference between male and female employees in their mental health mean scores, or there is no significant difference. These are the two possibilities of getting your results. So if you get there is no significant results between male and female participant groups in their mean scores of mental health. If no, you have to very specifically write how many articles, how many journals, how many authors are in support of the research findings that you received. How many are there that opposes the result of your study? That way we have to write the discussion. That you must be knowing, I just mentioned. Similarly, we have after discussion, we are giving a conclusion of the paper. This is the very basic structure of a research paper. Conclusion. So what I've discussed here, introduction as one of the major area, methods. In the method or in the design, we have ethical considerations, context of the study, participants, that is sample, measures that consists of tools and techniques, procedures and data analysis. Later we have result of the study with appropriate diagrammatic representation and tabular data, discussion of the results, conclusion. Now, all of the journals these days demand for the contribution of each author in the paper. Is it 50-50? If you have two authors to a paper, so is it 50-50? Most of the time it will be 50% each. Sometimes the contribution will be varying. So one is very much associated with the study, so he or she may be getting 70% of the association, 30% for the second author, co-author. So that idea you have to give very in advance during the submission in many of the journal databases. So that concern I discuss here. Acknowledgements. So many people, those who are careless, they never acknowledge the potential people, those who had a role in the paper. So acknowledgement carries those who have assisted. You can give acknowledgement to those who have assisted in the study, those who have assisted in the writing of your paper. Similarly, the participants and those who have helped in arranging the participants of the study. Along with major concern is the funders, those who are funding agencies. Definitely you have to, because of them only you could produce such kind of a wonderful research paper. Right, first and foremost you have to write the funding agency if it is a funded project or funded research, right? Now, and the last three aspects also you have to very specifically look into the conflict of interest. You must be knowing the conflict of interest. If there any conflict of interest among the authors, between the authors, you have to mention it very specifically. Supporting information, if you have some supporting information, some data sets, some of the journals will ask you for data set. I submitted a paper to a Russian Journal of Education. They, after some days, they demanded the data, so I had to give it in the Excel sheet, complete data set that I have used for the analysis. Similarly, the references matters a lot. You must be knowing whatever you have cited or mentioned in the report, in the paper, everything should be clearly mentioned as a list of references, and the references should be arranged most of the time in alphabetical order. If I'm talking about APA based, APA is one of the strengths for me, because I am a person who is involved in the writing with APA. So APA, as per the APA, references should be arranged in the alphabetical order. That is, the second name begins with A will be the first person in the reference list. If two persons with the same time comes, same year comes, so we'll put it. So sorry, the same author has published two papers in the same year. So first will be written as A, small a after the year. Then second will be B. Like we have to arrange. And another chance is the within the bracket when you are writing in parenthetical citation, those who are coming first in the reference list, they will be mentioned as the first in the parenthesis also when you are having a kind of citation, right? Now there are certain citation manuals. I would like to just mention the names. As I told you earlier, also there are APA style majorly many of the journal systems use. We have Harvard manual, we have a Blue Book, Chicago manual, IEEE manual. These are some of the manuals that generally we use in the publication. So it doesn't matter whatever it is the manual. Please go through the journal submission guidelines. Accordingly, you can fix your manual, write it. Some of the journals they will prefer APA, but their table format may not be exactly APA. So along with concentrating on the style of writing, you have to refer carefully the submission guidelines of the specific journal. Some of the conference papers submission, they are also having their own guidelines, so you can also go through some of the, I've just mentioned some of the low Indiana guidelines, Amity University India guideline, some of the references regarding writing style of conference papers. You can just find it out in the conference. When you're submitting a paper, definitely read the guidelines of the conference system. Okay, this is all about my presentation. Now I'm happy to have some questions. I've just generally gave you a structure of a research paper. I hope that this became a kind of what we call it as a specific knowledge for you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, for your wonderful presentation. Thank you, sir. Now we will start our uh, quiz session. After that, we will come back in our question answer session. Okay, sir?
Yes. Yes.
Dear participant, now we will start our quiz session. To join this session, you have to go slido.com. After that, you have to enter the code. The code is IGP quiz. Uh, After short video, we will start our quiz competition. Let's enjoy our quiz session. Dear participant, after 2 minutes later, we will start our quiz competition. To join this session, you have to go slido.com. After that, you have to enter the code. The code is IGP quiz. Uh, we will pick your name from Slido, so join with your full name, which will directly print on certificates. Top 10 will be awarded with quiz competition certificates. 21 people join in our quiz session. They are participate. After some minutes later, we will start our quiz session. To join this session, you have to go slido.com. After that, you have to enter the code. The code is IGP quiz. Dear participant, now we start our quiz competition. First question: which is the best organizational structure for a research paper? First option: comparison contrast. Second option: problem solution. The correct answer is option 2, problem solution. Second question: what might be the cause I got an A on my research paper? First option: I worked hard on my research. Second option: I forgot to do my timeline. And the correct answer is option 1, I worked hard on my research. Third known question is: the senior research paper is a requirement for graduation at ECHS. Uh, Option 1, true. Option 2, false. And the correct answer is true. Fourth known question is: a N dash research paper citation style model language association. First option MLA, second option MLP. And the correct answer is MLA. Five known question is an dash documentation appearing at the bottom of each page of a research paper. First option bottom bonnet, second option footnote. And the correct answer is footnote. Sixth known question is: what structure of academic text do we follow in writing a position paper? First option, one paragraph structure essay. Second option, three paragraph structure. And the correct answer is option 2, three paragraph structure. Our seven now question: A and dash is a documentation at the end of a research paper showing the source of ideas and quotations. First option citation, second option endnote. And the correct answer is endnote. Eight down question is: which of these is an research step? First option scheme research, second option force shadowing, and the correct answer is foreshadowing. Sorry, correct answer is scheme resource. Question number 9 is good research reports will always, first option, focus on addressing the research objective. Second option, provide results that may be irrelevant. And the correct answer is focus on addressing the research objectives. And the last question is only unbiased source should be used in your research. First option true, second option false. And the correct answer is false. Congratulations, top 10. First ranker is Genuine Winner Association. Congratulations, top 10 competition winner. Today's quiz competition winners, we have all of your names which you entered during joining. We will pick and prepare certificate and we post them on our Facebook official page. Our Facebook official page name is Institution of Global Professional. Uh, Now we will go our question answer session. Then we come back again. After short break, we will come back again in our question answer session. Let's enjoy our question answer session. Welcome back, sir.
Yes.
Sir, now we'll start our question answer session.
Okay, all right. I'm here. Thank you.
Dear participant, you have if you have any question, you can ask them in our comment box. Sir, our first question. Good afternoon, sir. What are the qualities of a good research question?
Okay. It's a research question. Definitely, it's a research question should address the major concern of the research that you have carried out. So it should address the major concern. It should be very specific and relevant to the research problem, and it should be addressed through the result, through analysis, through collection of the data, through explanations and description. You should address it properly. It should be a research question that can be addressed properly through your research.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Uh, we are waiting, dear participant. If you have any question, you can ask. Dear participant, we are still waiting for your question. Sir, our second question. Is it better for an abstract to be long?
Actually, now for the abstract, there is a specific guideline by every journal. As I told you, generally it will be less than 400 words. Sometimes it be 300. Sometimes it be 250. So according to the journal restrictions, you have to concise. You have to be according to the limit of the journal that you are going to propose your paper. Similarly, if it is a structured abstract, also you have to find out what is the possibility. If you're writing long, it will not be considered as very specific. So as per the guidelines of the conference system, or as per the guidelines of the general journal, you have to write your abstract. Specifically they write it, okay, they mention it.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. There is no more question. Thank you for your wonderful presentation and share your valuable knowledge. Any last word for our participant?
Thank you so much. It was a nice experience with you all, and I wish you all a wonderful journey with research. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I hope this participant can learn from you. Thank you so much. Mm, Dear participant, now we give you your webinar code. Webinar code is today's program name is a structure of a research paper and code is IGP 7890. Code is IGP 7890. The code is IGP 7890. Thank you so much, everyone. Uh, Stay blessed and happy. Thank you.